Hi and welcome to the Colorful Promo customization video. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to customize this template. So let's get started. We have the project open in After Effects and we have the render comp timeline open. As you can see, all the scenes are laid out in the timeline. And just to point out really quickly, these are extendable. So if you needed these scenes to be longer, if you can hover your cursor over the end of these and extend, then you can select the rest of your layers and shift them all down. So if you need them to be a little longer, that's definitely possible. You can also rearrange the scenes. If there's some that you don't like or don't want, you can always shut those layers off. Just click on these eyeball icons, turn them off, and then you can, move things around and re-edit them as you see fit. There's a layer, the very first layer at the top is a null layer, and it says show photo numbers. If you select that and go to your effects controls, you'll see there's a checkbox here. And if you switch that off, you'll see that text is gone. If you switch that back on, this is just to show you which placeholder is being shown in the timeline. So not all of the placeholder numbers are going to correspond to the scenes. They do up to a certain point, and then there's more than one image in a scene, and so you'll be able to see that. Just remember to turn that off before you render. So let's take a look at the project panel. We have the elements folder, has all of our source files and pre-comps. The render comp folder obviously has a render comp. The replace images here folder has all of the placeholder compositions. Replace logo here, this is where the logo goes for the closing scene. Replace text, and these are all the pre-comps for the text, and each scene has its own text animation, and that is pre-comped, and we'll go over that in a minute. And then the various scenes are in their folders here. If you needed to open those up and change something, that's where they are. So let's get started with the main title scene. We will go to the project panel, go to the replace images here folder, twirl that open, and then the replace intro image is towards the bottom here. Double click to open that up and you'll see it is empty. So we need to import a photo or a video, whichever one you want to use, into the project. So go to File, not Find, Import, File, select your image, click the open button, and then you want to drag that file into the timeline. And this is a good place to edit and make sure that your video is starting where you want it to. Then we'll go back to the render comp. We go through here. There's our image. And if we double click, we can just open any of these compositions that are in the render comp. So we'll open the main title scene, and that video is a bit dark. If you wanted to change the colors or the tint for that background, you can select the replace intro image layer, go to the effects controls panel, and you'll see there's a tritone effect applied, and you can change those colors to whatever you want. If you don't want any of that, you can just turn that effect off, and that will show you the video as is. If we scrub through this timeline, you'll see a whole bunch of things going on. There's lots of little effects that are on these layers. Square pixelated, the lines, kind of glitchy style elements. Those can all be rearranged. You can select them, move them around, rearrange them however you like. So next, let's change the text. In the project panel, if you go to the replace text here folder, twirl that open, and double click to open the replace main title text here comp. There we go. And all you need to do is just double click on any of these text layers. You'll see a little T next to the text. The text layers do have an alpha matte for the background, and you don't really have to worry about that. Just letting you know, if you think it looks funny, it's because it's got that weird icon right there. As long as there's a T, you can change the text. So if you double click on that, and then the bottom one. You can see that our text is cut off. In each of the text pre-comps, there's a layer labeled Master Controls. And if you select it and go to your Effects Controls panel, you'll see a whole bunch of controls here. And you can change the master size, which would be the text and the background for the top layer. We can make that smaller, then we can make that background wider. If you're using a different font, and you can change the font by selecting the text layer and going to the character panel, you can change the font to any of these. You'll see all fonts are different. Some are taller or smaller, and so you have control over that background behind the text. So you control the width of that bar. And the height as well, and that's going to mat your text. Okay, you can also change the position. You can change the text color with these color pickers. There's a drop shadow on the text. You can click this checkbox to turn that off. And you also have control over the colors of the transitions that happen before the text comes in. So if you wanted those to be something different, you could do that. Change them. There you go. So the bottom has the same exact controls. Control the size. You can make that wider so you can see that. You can move this up. If you want to move both of the text layers at the same time, you can select the bottom text position effect here, then hold down the Command key while selecting the top text position. And then with those two position controls selected, you can scrub on either one and you can move them together. There we go. If we go back to the main title scene, you'll see that our text is changed. If you wanted to change the colors of the transitions here, you can double click to open the diagonal transition, and you'll have some shape layers that are animated. If you twirl those open, go into the contents, you'll see we're selecting this middle bar. If you have the first rectangle selected, you can go up to the fill options at the top, and you can change those colors. Oops, we might change the wrong one. There you go. So there's the first one, and there's a second one. And you can change them for both. And we use this diagonal transition throughout the project. So if you change this one, it's going to change all of them. So back to the main title scene, and you see this colorful border. We have this rectangle that's got these colors. You can double click to open that one up too, and then double click to open colorful border. So this is a rectangular animation. And if you select the transition and hit U on your keyboard to bring up keyframes, these colors are animated. So as you can see, they kind of change up a little just to give it some movement. You can change these colors if you like. You just double click on the keyframe and then use the color picker. And you can change those however you like. So let's open up our first scene, scene 1, just to take a look at that. Again, you have lots of layers in here, and they can all be rearranged and moved around however you like. And if we click twice on the Replace Image 01 composition, open that up. Let's import another image. We'll do a photo this time. Import file. Drag your image into the timeline. Hit S on your keyboard if you need to scale that down. Or you can right click on that image, go to Transform, Fit to Comp With. And again, you can change any of these colors by selecting the layer. There's a layer set that says red tint. If you select that, go to your effects controls, you'll see the tritone effect. Again, you can use the color picker to change those colors. And you pretty much repeat that process for each scene. Just drag and drop your image, your photo or video, and then change the text. and you have all those nice controls for making the text however you like. If you have any questions, you can send us an email, marissa@fluxvfx.com, and I would be more than happy to answer your questions.